Hello folks, welcome back to Hybrid Athletics. I know we're a little bit early today. It is holiday Monday and we had got some great news last week that starting this week coming up, we are going to be allowed to reopen in a limited capacity. We're going to reopen Hybrid Athletics for personal training this week. We're going to have some limited class sessions next week. And then June 1st, perhaps we'll be able to expand our offerings. But we just want to make sure that we're doing everything right as we get going. As you can see, we've done a bunch of work here. We've got taped squares for each individual, 6-foot paths, breaks between, all kinds of stuff going on. But enough of that. Let's get to some stretching, okay? We're going to run through this a little early today. It's going to allow us to repost it again afterwards, and that way anybody that follows along after the fact can get in there. So I mentioned last week we're going to go through what we call the couch stretch, okay? So I've got a setup here where I have a wall behind me, I've got a bench, and I've got a mat for my knee if I need it. I'm going to make sure that my things are all set up. You need a solid wall, okay? So you could do this as a couch. Let's pretend that this was the seat of your couch, this is the back of your couch, and this is the armrest, okay? Or you could use the floor and then just use the couch seat here, and then you've just got something like an ottoman to lean against. So what we're looking for is, we want to get a stretch in the quad. Oftentimes, you see somebody stretch the quad like this, and their hip sags. So we're broken at the hip still. What we want is to extend the hip as well as the knee, right? So we've flexed the knee, and we've extended the hip. That's going to allow us to get a multi-joint stretch on a muscle belly that crosses two different joints. So we need to make sure that we are getting them both in the right way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my foot up this wall. I'm going to slide the knee down into the corner, and now I'm in this hip flexor stretch position. I could straighten up even farther to create more in the hip, drive forward more in the hip flexor. The more flexion of the knee means we're getting deeper into the quad. The deeper into the hip, the more we're doing the hip flexor. So I'll show the same position and we'll keep in here. The nice thing about the bench is it allows me to elevate the chest to keep myself in a nice straight line as I drive through here. As always, if we're warming up, we're kind of digging into different corners. You can rotate a little bit, adjust your foot if you need, find those spots that works for you to hit forward. If you're pretty inflexible, maybe you take that knee and you slide it forward a little bit away from the wall so you don't get as great of an angle. If you're pretty flexible, you can jam it right in there, and then you can back yourself up. Make sure you get a real tight, solid stretch through that hip and quad. We're going to sit here for a good 2 minutes, I think, on this side. We're going to kind of shimmy around, and then I'll move and slide out a little bit, and we'll incorporate the lizard and the couch together. Deep breaths, deep breathing. Happy holiday Monday, everybody. It's okay weather out there right now. Hopefully you get out and get a little bit of fitness after this, or maybe you've done it before watching this later in the day. We want to make sure that we're keeping our fitness up on those holidays. Usually the calories go up a little bit. We want to make sure that we're enjoying what we're doing. Thanks, Boxing Doctor. Good to see you again this week. Driving around. As I move my heel, you'll see it just changes the angle of the hip a little bit, a little more into the groin, into the lateral quad. I learned this stretch from one of my track coaches when I was at UBC playing football. He called it the wall of pain. We actually did this against the wall with a cement ground, and he was able to sit straight up and get all the way back to the wall in that position. That is some great quad flexibility. We see Kelly Starrett from the Ready State, also known as the mobility doctor, the supple leopard. He'll do this stretch a lot against the wall. Very good stretch. I like to incorporate the bench. This allows me to relax, and then if I was, maybe I'm watching the TV, or maybe you've got me on your iPad right here on the bench, allows you to set up and see the positions you're in. From here, we're going to slide forward ever so slightly. I'm still keeping that foot up the wall, and I'm going to try to go down into that lizard lunge that we did last week. So my hands go to the ground. So now I'm in that lizard position, nice and elongated. I feel the stretch underneath here, but I'm getting a lot more hip flexor on the left side as well, because that foot is elevated and the knee is flexed. Okay, I'm not flexing it with the hamstring. There's no work. It's a passive flexion. Make sure I got myself in a good spot. And I'm able to get down in there, So now I feel it all through the hip. I'm feeling it a little bit through my low back right now. It's fairly early in the morning, relative. As I dig around in here, I can use the bench for some rotation. I can go back this way. Get those back muscles nice and loosened up as I go along, pushing the knee out. Feel it all through the hip. After a little bit here, I like to slide just a little more even and let the foot down. I'll turn towards you guys a bit. And then now I can really get into the lizard and I've let that relax. So now I'm not focusing on the quad anymore in the back. I'm focusing on that lizard position in the front as I dig around through here. Play with your head positions. As I tuck my chin sometimes, so I'm here, I'll show you guys. As I'm down in here, as I tuck my chin, I'm feeling the stretch actually a little more in the hip flexor even as I move it around. You'll see as you turn and twist and stuff like that, you might find different positions create different stretches for you because you're tight neurally. Oftentimes we're sitting on those desks. Let's straighten up. We're going to go to the hamstring. So we're going to straighten that leg out. Again, we have this bench here if we need it for balance as I fold into a hamstring stretch. I'm sure straight sides. If you're sitting at a desk doing lots of work these days, maybe you're slouching down, you're in bad positions, and then our head's out. Now we're getting tight neurally through the spine and everything. So a lot of these stretches, if we think about where our head position is, it's going to affect the stretch a little bit differently. We're going to post an ergonomic checklist that our physio, Megan, from Elevate Physiotherapy and Wellness posted for us. It's just kind of like a little desk checklist for you. So like, what does your desk look like? Is your hands in the right position? Are you extended? Is your head reaching? Is your monitor at the right height? Lots of different things that you can have on a checklist to make sure that your home office is set up ideally for you. Take a look for those on the Hybrid Athletics Facebook page, let's say, because we can share that document there. We'll share that later today. Okay, so we've gone through this side. We're going to switch to the other side now. So if you have this full home setup, my bench goes back, I slide underneath, and now I'm going to put my other leg up the wall. So it's the inside leg that I like to use. That way I can use the bench for assistance more. So again, I'm up the wall. I can slide it down in there. This is, again, if you're joining late, could be your couch. So I've kind of put a chair or an ottoman beside my couch, put my knee up the wall or up the back of the couch or up onto the couch as assistance, just to get some flexion in the knee. And now I'm extending the hip forward to increase the range of motion. This side here is pretty tight. I definitely feel this coming across the knee as I go. So if it's too much for you, like I mentioned before, slide your knee forward so that we're not right into the gap at the wall. If you're very flexible, you can sit up and try to lean back into there. Get yourself a real good stretch, nice and deep, nice and tight on that side. Dig around. We're very excited to be able to open again in limited capacities moving forward. We want to make sure that we provide for our personal training clients at first, and it also allows us to kind of ease into opening so that we can test out our procedures, make sure that we're able to safely and efficiently move people through the space where they're social distancing, keeping things clean, all that kind of stuff. So this coming week, as I mentioned, we're going to do some personal training things. And then on the 26th, so that week, we will begin to have a limited class structure with our current members, where everybody will come in one time and kind of learn in the space. And then maybe June 1st, we'll be able to open up to new members and get things going. We do offer one-on-one sessions for current and new members all the time, starting now, tomorrow, I guess. But hopefully, you know, your gyms are opening up and you're going to get a chance to get in and get some fitness. Hopefully, we've been all working at home. Let's push that hip forward, get a real good stretch through that hip flexor. And then as before, we're going to drop down into the lizard. So I'm going to slide this bench up so you can see better. And now I've still got my foot up the wall. I'm trying to keep this hip forward. If it's sitting back, you can see this break in the glute. So my hip flexor is not being stretched. I want to push it forward till it's straight. If it's too much, I can slide it out from the wall, which will reduce the amount of flexion in the knee and allow me to get the hip a little different with the clothing here, but if you can't see, if I can't get this hip straight-ish, then I'm pretty tight. I need to work on that, right? Personally, this is definitely a tight spot for me. Being a power athlete, playing football, I definitely had a lot of hip flexor explosiveness, but it also led to a lot of tightness there. And rotating, digging around. Focus on tuck the chin, find the spots that stretch for you. And then as we get enough of that hip flexion, let's slide it out. I'm going to turn towards you, and we're going to go just into that lizard. So we continue with the lizard stretch. We're down in here, really digging out those corners, finding that spot. So again, my front leg is in a squat position, knee slightly ahead or in line with and slightly outside of the toe. Elbow can drop down, back leg nice and straight. Find those corner spots. Hopefully your facilities near you are able to open in a safe and effective way. We're going to straighten this leg up with that hamstring. So again, from the side, I'm trying to get a nice straight leg to get in behind the hammy on this side. Leg is up the front. If you're fairly flexible, I'm all right. You can take it right down to a split even. So I'm doing a front split from the side. Angle. Okay, we'll focus on feeling the hamstrings. For some people, you might be up tall and just a straight leg bend and a fold forward is enough. Okay? If you're inflexible and you need something for assistance, you've got your bench or your box or your couch that we just used for that stretch. So hip is forward, I straighten the leg, and I just pivot and hinge into it. So I'm feeling it underneath the hamstring here. Flexible enough, hands can go down, and then as I said, if you're very flexible, drag that back leg out, take it down to almost a split. Find those spots that work best for you. Last minute here. Okay, we're going to go through two quick test stretches. So we're going to draw that leg back around. Okay, so we did a lot of hip flexor and quad. So we're going to take a seat on our knees. Ideally, you're able to sit between your heels and lean back even onto your elbows, but even just going onto your hands. So from the side here, we're able to lean back and create a good quad stretch. So we could have done a pre-test with this beforehand. As I mentioned, pre and post testing is always great. And see how that feels on each side, right, as we've stretched it out. If you're flexible, grab onto your ankles, roll back to the elbows, and extend. Okay, so that's a bit of a test. That's a stretch within itself. It's something maybe you want to have that couch behind you that you can lay back on so you're not overextending yourself the whole time. And then the other test that we could have done, and we can do before and post, is a sit and reach. So we hit those hammies a little bit. We got a little bit of hip and low back through there. So now as we fold our chest over and we reach for the toes, ideally all athletes should be able to reach for their toes. Okay, if you can't, let's grab our calves and pull ourselves in there. And ideally as well, we're going to be able to eventually reach it beyond to the wrists, grab the whole foot, tuck the head down. As I said before, the spine and the nerves and everything are involved, so if we tuck our chin nice and straight, don't look to the side like I am at the camera all the time, try to keep it straight, fold down, tuck the chin and see how far down we can get. This time of the morning, I'm usually right about here. I feel like I can touch the floor first thing, get my palms down, that's an okay position for me. By the end of the day, I can usually get my head to touch my knees for sure, and even to the grass on a good day. Whoa. It's tight. Okay, so make sure that you're doing some test, retest stuff, right? We want to make sure that as you go along, you're progressing in your stretching. So just like you would track your workouts, I can lift 80 pounds this week, 90 pounds next week, and 100 pounds the week after, or I can run this fast, this fast, this fast. You're a throwing athlete, you know, you throw the throw the discus or the javelin or whatever it is, this distance, we obviously want to be able to improve that. We want to jump higher, run faster, all those things. Same thing with your flexibility. So make sure you've got a couple of pieces designed to allow you to test and retest to see that you're making progress. Just doing it is great. We're going to warm up, we're going to stay flexible and limber and hopefully eliminate injuries, but let's have some progression that's going to allow us to see that we're making a difference, that we're progressing along a pattern of positive progress, alliteration there, and that we're not just spinning our wheels, right? We want to make sure that we're getting somewhere. Good luck, guys. Have a great holiday Monday, and hopefully that you get in some great workouts this week. Thanks for watching.